How's everyone doing tonight? Good. Good, good. Welcome to our Blockbuster Holiday Health and Stress Management Workshop. All right? So, show of hands. Who's ready to learn how to manage your holiday stress? Everyone, right? What about learning how to save time and prevent things like the flu? Because next season is which season? The flu season, right. All right. So our speaker tonight, of course, is Dr. David Yechter. Dr. Yechter is a graduate of both University of Florida and Life University, where he graduated with his Doctorate of Chiropractic degree in 1993. He served as the president of the Florida Chiropractic Society. He's also been Chiropractor of the Year in both 2006 and 2007. He's used his passion for leadership to spearhead numerous mission trips to places like Panama and Jamaica. Okay? He's also a proud father of 3 boys, Leon, Jocelyn, Gavin, and he's married to Yvette Yechter. So everyone, come on. Let's get up on our feet. Now help me introduce Dr. David Yechter. Woo! Hey, come on.
Hey, buddy. All right, no. This is how you do it. Come on, guys. Up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. We gotta get some energy here. Come on. Turn to your neighbor, say I was born a champion. Turn to your neighbor, say I was born a champion. All right, that's how we do it. Give yourself a round of applause. Okay. I can tell you got some waking up to do. Happy Thursday. You guys hear me all right? I'm a little amplified tonight, so I hope that helps a little bit. Okay, so how many of you guys, this is your first workshop that you've ever been to? All right, give them a big round of applause. That was awesome. I'm excited for you guys, really excited. How many of you guys have been to 5 or more workshops already? You've been to 10 or more workshops, 20 or more workshops. Okay, the beat goes on. I'll stop there, but you're gonna see tonight, once you come to one workshop, it's like a Pringles potato chip. You just can't stop, because you keep learning and you keep growing. And for those of you guys who've been around here for a number of years, even though the titles are the same, the information is always changing. So you're always gonna learn something new. Next month, after we go through the holidays, there is some way to save grace, and we can do that coming to learn some of the most amazing fat burning strategies at our Fat Burning Fitness Workshop. And that's going to be January 18th, so please mark your calendars. So some of us may need that desperately, depending on how well we do tiptoeing through the next couple of weeks. So tonight we're going to talk about holiday health and stress survival. Top 5 holiday joy stealers. So there are a good number of things that can actually steal your joy. Even though this is supposed to be the most joyous time of the year, as the song goes, we're going to look into a couple of things that can actually yank the rug out from under us, and we're going to make sure that we know how to tiptoe around those and get through the holidays really, really strong. Does that sound good?
Yes.
Okay, so number 1 top joy stealer is pigging out. So it's really hard to pass up good tasting food, the sweets, cookies, cakes. Hey, when else do we get a time to do it? But there's a way to go about it, and I'm going to talk to you about that tonight. We've got a couple of tips and tricks, but all the overeating that we do, it really stresses our body out, tanks your immune system, and again, when your immune system takes a beating, it's going to leave you susceptible to colds and flus and things like that. So, in order to avoid overeating, and especially all the things that are going to make your blood sugar go up and pack on the pounds, you can kind of trick your body a couple ways. And the first thing that you want to do is you want to load up on all the greens. If you're going to a dinner, a holiday dinner, and you're going to sit down and you've got a 5-course meal, load up on those greens as much as you can. The biggest part of your plate should be the greens. Should be the starchy, not the starchy, the fibrous carbohydrates. So the soluble fiber is going to be the biggest part of the bowl. The next part of the bowl, 30% generally speaking, is going to be the proteins, and the fats have your meat, your chicken, fish, whatever you want. And then the smallest part is going to be your complex carbs. So again, I'm not going to rain on anyone's parade. I'm not going to say, hey, you can't have this or you can't have that. But if you are going to have the stuff that you know is going to make you expand and blow up and pack it on, have that as little as possible. There's something called the 3-bite rule. And that means that when you're 100% present and you take the first bite of that cookie or that cake, that's the one bite and taste that's going to be the best. You're going to enjoy that 100%. But what about the second bite? Do you ever enjoy it that much? Not really. Usually about 50%. And then the third bite, you're over it. That's why they call it the 3-bite rule. Okay? Just go into it knowing that you're not going to have more than 3 bites of that baked potato. I'm not going to have more than 3 bites of that pasta. I'm not going to have 3 bites of any of that stuff that you know is going to wreck your diet and enable you to, continue to pig out. So there are a couple of tricks and tools that we can go about this with, but the biggest thing is just fill up first so you don't have the urge to keep eating and eating and eating and eating. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So go for the healthy stuff first. Bring your own. Sometimes, if you go over a friend's house or you go over family, you can bring a dish and just, whether they ask you or not, you can make enough for everyone, but make sure, it's something that you yourself would eat. And it's healthy and it's going to help you stay on track, right? Wear fitted clothing. Why? What does that do? Brings out the truth. Yeah, because if you're really uncomfortable in your clothes, that will serve as a steady reminder that you may not be able to afford to blow it. So last year when I dropped 20 pounds and it was like all fat and my waist went down 3 inches, I threw out all my old pants for a really good reason. I had no plans of going back to a 36-inch waist. So I'm down at 33. I have all 33s now. And guess what? If I put on a few pounds, how do I feel around here? Very uncomfortable. And it doesn't take me long to go through one day and say, you know what, that's it. Enough is enough. And then I do what I need to do and drop it right back down. Have a serious bathroom talk. What's a bathroom talk? Look in the mirror. Take your clothes off, look in the mirror, and again, have a heart-to-heart. Whatever that looks like. We won't go into more detail than that. Bring your best friend to call you out. Keep the 3-bite rule and eat before you go. One of the things that I like to do is fill up with a shake. And the great thing about the shakes, whether you have this or the complete shake, when you have a shake, it's like a meal replacement. So imagine having something like that, and then you go to one of these things and you walk through the door and you see all this wonderful, beautiful food that if you were starving, you would be ravenous with that. But if you walk into one of these places and you're full, then you're less likely to do all that damage. So these shakes really come in handy. I have one of them every single day, but the other night it just so happened that I was supposed to go to my son's soccer game, and I did. Well, here's what happened. We got rained out. That's what happened. So I left here thinking that I was going to go over there and that I wasn't going to eat dinner for like another couple of hours. So I come home and I just had a shake before I left. I come home, my wife's making dinner. She's like, yeah, it'll be ready in 15 minutes. What am I doing? I'm sitting there rolling my eyes like, that's what I want to do. I want to eat right now. But things got a little bit off just because, of the timing and the schedule and all that. And it served as a good reminder that you can use that in your favor also. So if you know you're going out to dinner or you're going to get caught in one of these holiday parties where it's going to be a food fest, fill up on something before you go and it'll keep you out of trouble. Another thing that'll fill you up is drinking water. And you guys should be carrying, a bottle of water with you all day long. You should be gently saturating. You should be hydrating. Incidentally, it will keep you full. If you're hungry and you're drinking water, you're less likely to be grabbing at snacks that'll get you in trouble. Water keeps you really full. When you're dehydrated, by the way, your body doesn't let go of fat, and you're more likely to keep the weight on. When you're dehydrated, it causes high blood pressure, makes your blood sugar go up. It affects your cholesterol levels. So one of the smartest and easiest things that you could do, bang for the buck, is really not much better investment that you can have than to hydrate. Because how much does water cost? Well, I guess that depends on where you get your source from. But when you got Evian, you got Fiji, you got all these, the most important thing is that it's alkaline. You want to have alkaline water because to alkalize your bloodstream will also help your body release fat. But it's also really healthy to stay slightly alkaline. When your body's acidic, you have a lot of different diseases that develop. Did you have a question?
Is it true if you put lemon in your water, it's alkaline?
Yes, it is true. Did everybody hear what she said? Slice a lemon, squeeze the lemon juice or lime, and just like Emerald used to say, it kicks it up a notch. Because most of what we do, and most of what we eat in today's food economy is really acidic. So hydration really helps. Now, so I would be careful also with the sources that you're drinking your water with, because it does make a difference. But the goal would be half your body weight in fluid ounces. eventually working your way up there. It's not, it maybe not be the easiest thing in the beginning, but eventually you want to get there. So, couch potato. So that's a joy stealer right there. And obviously God did not create the couch, and he didn't create our bodies to take on the shape of the couch. So there's obviously a problem when that starts occurring. And so that is definitely a joy stealer. During the holidays, when you're having a lot of sugar and your immune system starts going downhill, it's not the time to exercise less, it's the time to what? Exercise more. It strengthens your immune system, it keeps your blood sugar leveled, it enhances your metabolism. It'll help you keep fit and healthy and trim. Anela, you can come up front here. We got a seat right here for you. Thank you. So if you want to stay in fat burning, do a little bit more exercise. Whenever I travel, if I'm out of pocket, I'll always make sure I do a brisk walk every day. And usually when I do a brisk walk, I'll go for 30 minutes at the most. But if I'm going out of state and I go visit my mother-in-law in Tennessee and we're eating like it's going out of style, I'll go walk for an hour. Don't be afraid to do a little bit more. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that should be your strategy. Other than the holidays, 12 to 20 minutes every day. But during the holidays, a little bit more. And it doesn't matter what you do, as long as you get your heart rate up. That's the main thing. You could do, bike, swim, run. It really doesn't matter. Use whatever means and methods necessary to get your heart rate elevated and keep it that way. I like to do it in the morning. Why? Why do you think exercising in the morning is best? What's that? What?
Burn the fat.
You burn more fat for a couple of reasons. Hormonally speaking, your testosterone, your human growth hormone levels are at its highest. So your ability to burn fat and make more muscle, you have the best and peak, the most peak potential at that time of the day. Yes, sir.
You get other distractions.
What's that?
You get other distractions.
During the day, yeah. If you leave it for the end, it usually gets squeezed out of your schedule. Very true. Very true. So that's why I say early morning or never. Very few people have the discipline to pull that off at the end of the day. It's possible, but it's just unlikely. I also like it for other reasons. I call it the spiritual triathlon. So my day starts with prayer, with reading the Bible, and exercise. And I consider that, getting not just mentally and physically, but spiritually fit. So that's why I always do that in the morning. It's a ritual. And the days that I don't do it, I'm not as well off as the days that I do. So I'd strongly recommend that. Now the joy stealer, sugar. Sugar, 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 sugar. And this is the time where we probably consume more sugar than any other time during the year. And what does sugar do to your immune system almost immediately? Shuts it down and paralyzes it. It literally paralyzes white blood cells, like on contact. I once saw this on live blood cell microscopy. Somebody drank a tall glass of orange juice, and then they pricked the finger or put it under the microscope, and you could see the white blood cells literally paralyzed. All these other cells floating by like they should, the white blood cells, paralyzed. Sugar does that to your immune system. And that's why you're much more likely to come down with colds and flus. Beware of the foods that you wouldn't suspect, like ketchup, fruit juice, lunch meats, of all things, you wouldn't think, but it has sugar in it. Breads, you look at these freshly baked breads at Publix, and you'd be surprised at how much sugar that they put in those. So there's sugar in everything. And even these healthy things like Nutri-Grain bars, you wouldn't think, but you read the label, and 50 out of the 70 different ingredients are what? Are sugar. So there's a really good reason why people become sick and depressed during the holidays. And our lifestyle is a big contributing factor. It's especially imperative to avoid sugar if you feel like you're what? You're coming down with something, right? So I want you to know that symptoms could be a joy stealer, but they also could be your friend if you understand the purpose of symptoms. So symptoms could be good or they could be bad. Do we have room up here? Do we have more chairs? We've got plenty more chairs over here. Yeah. So what are symptoms? They are forces your body's innate intelligence creates that were never intended to harm or destroy you. So when you have sniffling, coughing, fever, things like that, your body's getting rid of what? It's getting rid of junk, yeah. And this has been known for a long time. Johns Hopkins School of Medicine, one of the professors was quoted as saying this: sniffles, sneezes, and fever are what? They're good for you. They clear the airways of harmful irritants and allergy-causing substances. Now watch this. Fevers actually fight viruses and bacteria. Wow. So that means if you take a fever down, what are you doing to that fight? You're stopping it. And if you're not allowing your body to fight off bacteria and viruses, then what are you doing to your body? Making it better or worse? Worse. So why would we want to take a fever down when fever is actually beneficial? So at 102 degrees, bacteria die, and 103 degrees, viruses die. You should let a fever go, so you let the body do what it's trying to do. The diseases are shortened by letting the fever what? Run its course. I've never ever given my children a fever-reducing medication. When my children have a fever, I bundle them up to drive the fever up, and it always comes right back down within 12 hours. That's it. It's all we've ever done. You either work with the intelligence of the body or you work against it. Anybody has questions of that, ask me later and I can go more into it. But really and truthfully, the symptoms are what? The cure. Now, when you watch TV, the drug companies will teach you something different. What do the drug companies teach you? How do you spell relief? How do you spell relief? R-O-L-A-I-D-S. Does anybody remember that commercial? It's 30 years old, but everybody remembers it because those are the most ads, commercials that we see are for drugs. So they brainwash us into thinking that when you have symptoms that it's not good, that it's bad, but the opposite is really true. There are times when we do need to go to a hospital when there are life-threatening instances, but very few people really understand the purpose of symptoms. Coughing, sniffling, sneezing, vomiting, diarrhea. All that has a purpose. Your body's trying to clean house. And the drug companies have brainwashed into telling us to do differently. Just because you shut off symptoms, does that mean you're healthy? No. Health being restored in your body has nothing to do with symptoms. It has everything to do with having your body function the way it's supposed to function. And you can't stand in the way of that. You can't outsmart the intelligence in your body. Okay, so we have two garbage cans here. We have the one on the left, which is filled with garbage and food, and we have a clean one. Okay, so you got a garbage can that's dirty, that attracts what? Flies. Okay, so stupid question, but I have to ask it. Did the garbage cause the flies, or did the flies cause the garbage? Did the garbage cause the flies, or did the flies cause the garbage? The garbage caused the flies. All right, if you have a clean garbage can and you don't have garbage, do you get flies? No, they may be buzzing around out there, but they don't come to feed if there's no what? If there's no food. So, same thing with bacteria and viruses in your body. They're swarming around in your throat right now. They're in your body. They're keeping the hallways clean. They're keeping balance in your body right now. God put bacteria and viruses in this universe, in your body, for a reason. And when you're in balance and in harmony with that, then there's nothing for them to feed on. But we go through the holidays, we have stress, sugar, lack of sleep, toxicity, overeating, and subluxation, which blocks normal nerve supply, which depresses your immune system. And what does that cause? Sick. Yeah, that's the equivalent of the garbage can, right? With the garbage. Your body is weak. It's a compromised immunity. And so now, the bacteria, which were already there to begin with, have a wonderful opportunity to come and have a Thanksgiving or a Christmas feast. These opportunistic vectors, so to speak, really only feed on decaying, dying matter. Okay, no different than, you see a dead duck or a frog or let's say a rodent that's dead that was run over by a car on the road. What comes swooping down to start to feed on it? Vultures. Okay, so did the vulture just swoop down and kill the frog? No, it found the opportunity and it took advantage of it. And that's what bacteria and viruses do inside of you when your body is weak. The bacteria don't cause the sickness. The sickness attract what? Bacteria. All right, how about this? Is this a good opportunity for bacteria to cause an infection? No, that's strong resistance. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah. Okay, what I just took you through? It's called the germ theory. It's called the germ theory. And if the germ theory were true, if germs actually did cause disease, there'd be nobody left to talk about it. And Louis Pasteur came up with the germ theory, and on his deathbed, he said it was the worst thing that he ever perpetuated on mankind. He renounced it on his deathbed, but the drug companies and the drug companies have taken full advantage of that. Because with the germ theory comes a four-letter word. It's called fear. False evidence appearing real. So when you scare people into thinking that we have no ability to ward this off or fight this off, we're a victim and we're completely powerless, then we have to buy their stuff. And it's wrong. When your body has a strong resistance, a strong immunity, when you start eating good and exercising, when you have proper nerve supply, when you know how to manage your stress, this is your environment. And the bacteria and the viruses that are in you right now have no reason to cause an infection. There's no opportunity, there's no decaying matter for them to feed on. You see? So essentially what I'm talking about is clean up your what? Clean up your garbage can. Keep it clean this holiday season and you won't have anything to steal your joy. Yes or yes?
Yes.
All right. So all these things that lurk in our medicine chests, which have been passed down for generations, we're designed to do one thing: treat your symptoms, which it turns out wasn't exactly the best thing to do if you really want to help your body heal naturally. Treating symptoms never corrects the cause. It only makes your body weaker in the end. Same thing like if you take antibiotics. You know, if you take antibiotics, you're killing the bacteria, but did you correct the cause of why you got sick in the first place? What do antibiotics do to a weakened immune system? They make it what? Weaker, yeah. So in instances like this, it does not make sense. I had a lady who came off the table the other day and she was like, yeah, I've been sick, fighting this thing off for 3 weeks now. When am I going to get better? I said, did you take anything? She's like, yeah, I took antibiotics 2 weeks ago. And she's like, now I have an ear infection. I took it for an upper respiratory infection. Now I have an ear infection. I see it all the time, guys. I see it all the time. And I do my best to try to unbrainwash everyone when you become a patient in this office. But I'm working against like 50 years worth of brainwashing that our drug companies and medical profession have done. So it takes time, but you know what? It's a thought process. And if you start thinking through this stuff and it makes sense, then I'm hoping the next time you open your medicine chest and you want relief, you come back to this conversation that we had and you just give your body a chance to heal itself and watch what happens. This stuff isn't just about shutting off symptoms. There are deadly consequences when there are side effects. Strokes, seizures, brain bleeding. Phenylpropylalanine is an ingredient in there which causes this in children and women. And they took it off the shelf. Somehow the FDA allowed them to put it back on the market. In addition to that, all these colorful elixirs that they make, that they give you, and they give the kids that make it so inviting to eat, have something called aluminum lake food coloring. Has anybody ever heard of that? Aluminum lake? Okay, so just so you understand, is aluminum a good thing to have in your body? Heavy metals. So you know that when people have a buildup of heavy metals, that level of toxicity, what does it affect mostly? The brain. And so they know this is, it's been connected with memory impairment, Alzheimer's, autism, epilepsy, mental retardation, and dementia. Also has something called petrochemicals, which are petroleum-based. Comes from the same thing that they make antifreeze with. Does that sound like a good thing to put in a child's body? No, I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. Why would adults want to do that either? We've been sold this bill of goods, over-the-counter cold and flu remedies. Okay, so I guess this could be a joy stealer, the flu. Yeah? The question is, how do you know if it's really the flu or not? So when people call in the office, they say, hey, I can't make my adjustment today. Why not? I have the flu. Really? How do you know? I'm aching all over. Well, when they test people for the flu virus, and they've done world databases like with all the world countries, they've sent thousands of specimens in. They only found 15% of the time when you have those symptoms where you have a cold, sniffle, sneeze, and your body aches, that only 15% of the time is it truly come from the strain of a flu, like a flu strain. It's really not. You have influenza-like viruses, like rhinoviruses, and things that mimic the flu with the same symptoms. Doesn't necessarily mean it's the flu, number one. Number two, how many deaths do you think there are every year from the flu? Very little. And consequently, they said that the flu vaccine has saved countless lives. And they again have done the studies. They've taken the data from all the countries around the world. It hasn't. It hasn't extended any life expectancies, not even the elderly. So the people that have to, be concerned about the flu with are, people who are immunocompromised, people who are under a lot of stress, and people who are on a lot of medications. And then again, when you're taking a flu shot, what are you actually putting inside your body? You're putting the flu. And have you ever seen that? Somebody goes and gets a flu shot and they actually get the flu. Has anybody ever seen? Like everybody's seen that. I'm preaching to the choir. You know, so like, can anybody figure out for the life of you, why would somebody want to go get the flu shot? There are people that are actually gullible and they really think that it's the right thing to do. Even though the jury's out on it. You know, the jury is out and they say, oh, they're safe, there's no mercury. Well, here's the side of a flu vaccine, a box. Here's Fluzone. This is what they give you if you go to Target, you go to Walgreens, and you know, they're advertising everywhere because it only costs them like 60 cents for a flu shot when they buy it, and you pay $20. That's pretty good markup, don't you think? Really good market. But look at what's in the ingredients here. Chicken eggs, embryonated chicken eggs, inactivated with formaldehyde. What's formaldehyde? What do they use that with? To embalm dead people. And that's what they're putting in your body. That's what they want to put in your children's body. That's what they want to put here. It says for use with children, 6 months of age and older. To put formaldehyde in a 6-month-old child. How about mercury? An immature immune system of a child, a brand new child, baby, whose immune system has not fully formed and developed. We want to put mercury. Oh no, there's no mercury in any of the shots. It's safe. It's right there. It's on the box. Your pediatrician says they want to vaccinate your child and it's safe. There's no mercury. Say, bring me the box, please. And I've had patients do that and correct the pediatrician right in front of them. They're like, oh, I didn't know that. I'm being honest with you guys. I'm like, I can't for the life of me understand this. So you know this. So what am I doing? I'm preaching to the choir. But what about all the people that we know? Why don't they know? You know, what happens to their children when they become mentally retarded or diabetic and they have to live with an insulin pump for the rest of their lives? Is that not an injustice? It's an injustice. It should be in the school system. They should have public education campaigns. Should have people coming into the PTA to talk about this stuff. It's like, you know, it can almost be entertaining, but it's really shameful. You know, when we know this stuff and people's lives are on the line. And what we say or don't say in that moment when we know we should say something could mean the difference between life and death. And I hope everybody here has the courage to do that when that time comes. Flu shots. This is the world's leading immunogeneticist, 850 peer-reviewed journal papers. Here's what he said. If you had a flu shot 5 or more consecutive years, your chance of getting Alzheimer's is what? 10 times greater. Why? From the buildup of the mercury and the aluminum in your brain. They've known this for decades, but of course, you see more advertisement trying to tell you to get the flu shot than the real research. Here's the former chief vaccine control officer and research virologist from the FDA. His name was Dr. J. Anthony Morris. I have 2 patients that are pharmaceutical reps, and they're not here tonight, and I wish they were, so that they could see this. He was quoted as saying, there's a great deal of evidence to prove that immunization of children does what? More harm than good. This is the chief virologist of the FDA. There's no evidence that any flu vaccine thus far developed is effective in preventing or mitigating any attack or influenza. Producers of these vaccines know that they are worthless, but they go on selling them anyway. I just spent the last 10 minutes blabbing. All I had to do was show you this because it comes from the top. Why would anybody in their right mind? Why don't they put that up at Target? Why don't they put that up at CVS? Why don't they put that up at Walgreens? Why don't they put that up in the elementary schools so that parents could see that? That would be the right thing to do. Here's a German study that was released 4 years ago of 8,000 unvaccinated children, newborns to 19 years, showing that vaccinated children have at least 2 to 5 times more diseases and disorders than unvaccinated. These are all the diseases and disorders. The blue are the ones that have been vaccinated. The red are the children that were not vaccinated, across the board. That's why I never had my kids vaccinated. I've known about this for decades. The whole premise for vaccination is flawed. The whole premise. It's just like the germ theory. But we've been sold a pretty good bill of goods, that's for sure. Okay, so let's lighten our load a little bit. Let's lighten up. My dynamic staff can come on up here. All right, so there's a couple of people that we just want to recognize here. We always do this just to break up the intensity of the program. And these are for people who have really done very well with their adjusting schedule. And these are folks who have never, ever missed an appointment. Many of you guys have done this, but we want to recognize a few special people here. These are folks who never miss an appointment. When they do, they call us up, get rescheduled, they stay on track with their program. And the reason why we love that so much is because we see them get the greatest results. And we really love that. I mean, you guys have no idea how excited we get, how we celebrate. You know, some of you guys come in like when the shift starts and nobody's here, it's like a ghost town. We're in there for 10 minutes, like looking at the schedule and celebrating corrections and stuff like that. So just if that ever happens to you, you know. So these are some of the people that we've been most lately excited about. When we call your name, please stand up so we can crown you with your Medal of Honor. Judith Watson, everybody give her a big round of applause. Lisa Poplar. Myra Castro Colon. Daryl Thomas is not here. Kelly and Dave Olson. Everybody give them a big round of applause. Did we miss one? Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I was looking at that.
All right. Nice work, nice work. Good. Congratulations, guys. All right, so as I always say, the mind can only absorb what the seat can endure. So like at the halfway point, I like to kind of stand up and turn around and give your neighbor a pat on the back here. Come on, turn up, turn and face the person to your right, and go ahead and put your hands on their shoulders and squeeze, and get all the stress out. Get all that stress out. Good, good. Now you want to do a karate chop. Karate chiropractic. Good. Love your neighbor. Get in the holiday spirit. Okay, let's turn around and love your other neighbor. Good. Very nice. Get that stress out. All that holiday stress.
That's the whole reason why I'm coming here.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. All right, go ahead. Karate chop. Nice. Everybody's getting into it. Everybody's getting in the holiday spirit. Good. Good job, guys. Give yourselves a round of applause. Have a seat. Keep your heads up. Keep your heads up, because here it comes. They're coming out hot and heavy. Hot and heavy. Hot and heavy. All right. Very nice. Okay. So, we know that stress causes decreased immune function, fatigue, depression, like we talked about. It also causes weight gain. When you are stressed out, this hormone called cortisol goes up, and when cortisol goes up, it takes insulin up with it. Insulin is a fat-storing hormone. How many of you guys would rather be a fat burner than a fat storer?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to share with you, for those of you guys who don't know, there's a lot of you who do know about this, but for those of you guys who don't know, this is one of the best kept secrets that we have right now. How to lose 20 to 45 pounds in just 40 days. Why? Because we use technology. It's not a diet. And it really is amazing. It worked for me. It's a program that actually absolutely turns your body into a fat-burning machine. It incinerates fat. I like to show these testimonials because it's hard to believe when somebody tells you they lose like a pound a day and it's all fat, but this was one of them.
Hi, my name is Mitchell Moses, and I've been 37 days on the Nutrimost program. I've lost 36 pounds. My metabolic rate has changed from that of an 86-year-old to a 54-year-old. My blood pressure has drastically went down from 154/96 to normal.
So it's dramatic. Things happen very, very quickly. I've never had anything like that, but I mean, it's technology that's just come on board. There's probably about 100 doctors across the country. It's only in the United States, but it's resonant frequency technology. When you put your hand on that, the computer actually diagnoses what hormonal and neurotransmitter imbalances there are, and then it formulates the supplements that your body actually needs. Your body actually talks to the computer and tells it what supplements it needs to bring you into fat burning. And so the objective evidence comes out when we use something like this. You stand on the scale, it tells us how much body fat you have, what your BMI is. He talked about his metabolic age, and for most people who start the program, their metabolic age is several years or decades higher than their chronological age. So if you're 40 years old, your metabolic age, you could have the metabolism like of a 90-year-old. And that's the reason why you always gain the weight back, because the hormones are out of balance, everything's out of whack. A diet doesn't address that, but this technology does. So we use this, the initial one, to show you where you're at, and then when you're on the program, we have the objective evidence to follow through to show you that we really did turn your metabolism back to where it should be and balance everything out. And it's not just standing on a scale and losing weight, you're losing the right things in the right places. So at any rate, the initial consultation and the body composition analysis, it's normally $99. If there's anybody here who's never had it done or you want to, it's only $27. And if you're an Elevation Health patient, I pay for that for you. It's complimentary. You go to 954thin.com and you can actually make your appointment right there. 954thin.com if you haven't done that. Okay, so this is, I want you to watch this very carefully because I just want to see your reaction. This is really interesting.
Depression is a serious medical condition that can take so much out of you. I feel like I have to wind myself up just to get out of bed. Then, well, I have to keep winding myself up to deal with the sadness, the loss of interest, the trouble concentrating, the lack of energy.
Pristiq is a prescription antidepressant. Talk to your doctor about Pristiq and I'm sure he'll prescribe it. You need drugs to be happy. You're so high. Don't worry about getting any new hobbies or friends. You need a prescription antidepressant. Don't worry about your diet or exercise. You just need to be happy with the pill. Don't worry about a thing. We have drugs for your kids too. Yay. ADD, ADHD, whatever. We have pills for the side effects too. Remixed by.
So that's the enemy right there. That's the enemy. That's what they're doing. They're brainwashing people into thinking that the ups and downs in life is a disease. They're creating disease out of normal parts of life. Do we not have hardships? You're either coming out of a storm or you're going into a storm. And what they're doing is they're directing people away from the truth because the only answer to that is God. The only peace that's ever going to come into your life is from the truth, and that's the source. And they're pulling people directly away from that, which in my opinion is evil, lies. And it's very dangerous because what are the side effects of antidepressants? Homicide, suicide. You look at all the school shootings and a lot of the violence that's happening today. You look at the typical profile. They're on medication for antidepressants, or they're coming off of it, or they're on Ritalin. And these are brain altering. They stop the brain from functioning normally. It's a disgrace. Now take that, and I want you to watch this clip of, these are psychiatrists that are at a psychiatric convention commenting on what tools they have to actually objectively assess and diagnose somebody with depression.
There are no biological tests for any mental illnesses that I'm aware of.
There are not current available tests to verify your diagnosis.
There is no test. There is no specific test to differentiate between, let's say, schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. Not a single test.
Yeah, we have not really confirmatory test for the diagnosis.
There is no test, there's no biopsy you can do that says this person is depressed, this person is bipolar.
We don't have anything really currently to identify mental illness per se.
No, there are no specific tests to confirm the diagnosis or show the improvement, like any blood tests or any x-rays or anything like that.
Oh, in my practice I don't do any tests. I just speak with people and listen to them, and then I make a decision on what kind of illness there should be.
We don't really have any specific blood tests or other tests that are definitive for any mental illness whatsoever.
What kind of biological tests do we have available today for detecting mental illnesses?
None.
Laughing all the way to the bank. You know, that's basically what it is. It's a farce. And I actually feel sorry for the profession because there's no validity to it at all. It really isn't. So antidepressant use, however, has skyrocketed in the last 20 years. Do you guys remember people being on antidepressants 25 years ago? It was like unheard of. And now we have an epidemic of depression today. Everybody's depressed. It's the most frequently used medication between 18 and 44. Nearly 1 in 4 women are taking it between 40 and 59. 11% of Americans ages 12 years and older And they're putting toddlers and children on this stuff. And here's a psychologist who says they're not getting to the root of the problem. Here's the root of the problem. This is something that I kind of put together in my mind because somebody once taught me that when you're in a relationship with somebody, God has to be at the center of that relationship. So you have husband, wife, or you have employer, employee, or you have friends, and you have your purpose always over and above you. And the reason why you can get along with this person or serve this person or serve your purpose in life is because you serve a higher power. And so, it's called the joy model. And they say Jesus, others, and you. Who comes last? You do. And Jesus or God comes first. And when your purpose is to serve God by serving other people, then you cannot disappoint other people because you're not serving them. Who are you serving? God. Can you control other people? No. Can you control what they say? No. Can you control what they think? No. What they do? How they feel? No. Even in your best intentions, somebody will always be disappointed. You will always let them down, even unintentionally. But you'll never disappoint God. He always loves you no matter what. And that's the thing. When we take our eyes off of the truth, then we become depressed. Because when we start thinking about ourselves and what we don't have and how we feel, then of course we go into depression. Because you're focusing on what you don't have instead of what you do. And what you have is the truth. You have everything that you would ever need to have happiness, joy, peace, love, abundance. If you were made in His image, what is it that you don't have? Right? And that's the truth. But the problem is we don't focus on the truth. We want to focus on what we don't have. But that's a choice. That's a choice. We have something called internal dialogue. And what does that mean? What are you saying to yourself? What's going through your mind right now? What is your self-talk? What are you saying to yourself? Oh, this guy's out of his mind. What do you say to yourself when you do, your push-ups in the morning? Oh, this hurts. This is painful. What do you say to yourself when you're driving home? At the end of the day, when you worked really hard? Oh, I feel like garbage. Oh, I'm so tired. Negative, 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 negative. Well, guess what? Garbage in, garbage out. Yeah. But your internal dialogue is a choice. You can choose to completely turn all of that around. You can completely choose to replace that negative chatter with positive chatter, even though it may not be true. Because whatever you say to yourself, physiologically, the outcome follows. Okay? So you have to fake it till you make it. If you want to be enthusiastic, you have to act enthusiastic. Okay? You don't just become enthusiastic or happy automatically. You have to think that, you have to say it, you have to affirm it, and then the physiology and the feeling comes after. Does that not make sense? That's psychology. Okay? You don't need to talk to somebody and then get a prescription to fix that. Okay? Because the cause isn't from the outside in. The cause and the cure is from the what? It's from the inside out. If you focus on yourself, you will always be disappointed. You'll always be pointing your finger at somebody else because you're depending on something or someone else to make you happy. And that's wrong. Everything comes from above down. Everything in your life. Spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, socially. Right? Put yourself last this holiday season and maybe for the rest of your life. Okay? And put everyone and everything else before you and watch the joy that comes after that. That's the joy model. It's true. Maybe you learn it or you reaffirm it on Sunday, but then what happens when you step out of bed Monday morning? Good question, right? Yeah, it's the same thing with a flu shot. God can heal anything. And then we go get in line for a flu shot. What? I thought the power that made my body is going to heal my body. It's the same thing. What you believe has to come from above down. So that's the joy model. So take a breather to reduce stress. Get more frequent adjustments. Why? Because that's going to strengthen and boost your immune system, right? Keep learning and growing like you're doing tonight. Make time for who? Yourself. And you may have to say no to a few people or a few things to make time for yourself. Something called solitude. That's different from loneliness. That's different from being alone. Like when you're lonely and you're feeling alone, that's not solitude. Solitude's a choice. Solitude is when I say, you know what, I need some time alone. I want to go get in a quiet room, and I want to get my thoughts together and go pray or do whatever. That's a choice. Solitude is something that we need, you know? And that's biblical, by the way. Anytime I was just watching a message or I heard a message when Jesus went around and there were people to be healed, and then there was a ruckus here, and then there was problems there, where did he always go? He went to the mountains to what? Went to go be in prayer. So it's biblical. That's the way God made us. We're supposed to do that. Even just 15 minutes alone without distractions. When is the last time that you actually did that? Learn to say what? No. Learn to say what? No. Turn to your neighbor and say no. No. It feels good, doesn't it? All right. Take a walk. Take a walk and get some fresh air. I did that this morning. And I walked out the front door and I had a cut-off shirt because, I usually don't need like a shirt. In the morning it's humid, 80 degrees. And I walked out, it was kind of chilly this morning. And I walked back in, I put on a sweatshirt, and I went for a brisk walk. And I really enjoyed being outside. I really did. My neighbor has roosters, and I was listening to them crow. And they have emus, and then there's horses over here. And the acres right over here, Plantation Acres. And there's, it's an equestrian community, so there's barns and horses, and it's, it was like 6 o'clock in the morning, so you see it's like just at the crack of dawn, and it's so quiet, and it's so peaceful. And I can't tell you how I soaked that up. My body was like craving it. And you know what, if I never would have done that and made myself time like that in my schedule, I probably wouldn't have been at peace today if I didn't do that. And I felt really, I tell you, like when I woke up this morning, my head was full. It was almost felt like a headache was coming on. And I was just like, ooh, this is going to be a really good workshop tonight. Because it's going to be less of me and more of him. And as the day went on, after I did that brisk walk, it really cleansed me out. And I really had a good day today. And I would encourage you guys to try that. Give that a try. And just build up a brisk walk, even if it's just for 15, 20 minutes. Listen to soothing music. Get a massage, which you had one tonight. It was just a teaser, though. I'm sorry. Plan ahead. Here's a couple of other strategies. Decide how much money you want to spend, if you're getting gifts, and whether it's for Hanukkah or Christmas. But make sure you have a budget. Sometimes it can get out of hand. Has anybody ever seen that get out of hand? You look back, after you get the bill in January, and you're like, you get your Visa statement, you're like, whoa! How did that happen? That's why you want to use cash. No credit cards, cash only. Take it from the ATM. This way, it is what it is, and it ain't going to change and be anything different. Think outside the box. Donate to a charity in someone's name. You can do so many different things. You don't have to feel obligated to spend so much money and do so many different things that everybody else is doing, or that may be advertised on TV or Amazon. Everybody's vying for a piece of our brain and our wallet. Homemade gifts, food, family gift exchange. These are all different ideas that you can get creative with. Now, if you're doing parties and planning and hosting family, a schedule is a really smart thing to sit down. If you plan your schedule at work, if you're going to, be host to a party and you've got family coming in and you got to deal with all types of things that you don't normally do, don't you think it's a good idea to plan for that? Yeah. Otherwise, that's a huge source of stress. Shopping, baking, all these things. Why don't we just stop and look and see where we can get help with that? Maybe we want to do a little bit of that every single day. Maybe we should give some thought to menus or a shopping list. Maybe if we need help, start thinking about the people that can actually help us. We've got, what do we have? A little less than it's about 2 weeks, right? 2 weeks until Christmas. So now's the time to do it. I get it all done, get it all out of the way, get all the shopping done, get everything done. All right, so then we go into the nutrition, and obviously with all the stress comes inflammation. And when you have a hormonal imbalance, when your body's under a lot of stress, inflammation levels go through the roof. And that's why you have to have a fish oil capsule. You have to have some of these good essential fatty acids. And this is something that I take a couple of these every single day. And the Super EPA Pro is the most bioavailable form of these fish oil capsules. What a fish oil capsule is good for? You guys probably know. Cholesterol. It's good for your blood pressure. It's good for your triglycerides. It helps balance your blood sugar, your blood pressure. It's anti-cancer. It's good for your brain. It helps prevent depression, fatigue. Need I go on? Bang for the buck is probably one of the most important things that you could and should be doing, not just during the holidays, but really all throughout the year. I take a couple of these, like I said, every day, even just as a preventative. There's one thing about the Thorne label, the reason why you see all Thorne products there, is that they don't have fillers and binders like magnesium stearate. If you're taking a nutritional supplement, I want you to go home tonight, if it's nothing that you've gotten here, and I want you to look at the label. If it says magnesium stearate on it, or citrate, or anything like that, it's got some fillers in it which actually cause the ingredients to coagulate and not enable it to be absorbed by your body. Why do the facilities that pack it use it? To keep the facility clean. When I visited the Thorne facility out in Idaho a couple of years ago, their facility was a mess. There was dust flying everywhere. You know why? Because they don't use any of that stuff. But the good part about that is that whatever they pack into their capsules disperses and dissolves into your body and your bloodstream. It's the most bioavailable and pure substances that you can get. And you get what you pay for, you know? Yeah.
Would you call that organic?
Some of it is, some of the ingredients, but not necessarily. The point that I'm really driving toward is quality and purity and bioavailability. Bioavailability means, can your body absorb it? Anybody can buy any supplement from GNC, but if it has the binders and the fillers in it, your body is not absorbing in it, it's urinating or defecating out a good part of it. So when you read something in a journal that says, hey, take this supplement for that, it's really good for that, instead of taking medication, you can try that, but the problem is if your body is not absorbing it, you're not going to get the clinical result. We always get the best clinical results with the Thorne formulas. They're always the best. Vitamin D3. And the reason why I'm showing you this is not only because the minimum requirements, which we're all used to, which is about 400 international units, they originally did that to prevent scurvy and rickets. But what they have found is that it's severely under the normal requirements, which we could and should have to prevent most of the cases of cancer. They found that if you raise it to about 5 to 10,000 international units, you would prevent 75% of the deaths from nearly all cancers. And that's huge. And a lot of people are missing out on this because they're taking 400 international units. You should be taking at least 5,000. Over a 3-year period, this comes from the medical journal Epidemiology, they said over a 3-year period, taking 2,000 international units of vitamin D3 reduced the incidence of colds and flus to nearly what? So can everybody see why it's so important, especially during the holidays when you're going to abuse your bodies with less sleep, more sugar, more stress? Your immune system needs that support. Toxins. So aside of the fact that we live in a toxic soup, everything in our house is toxic. The foods we eat have pesticides, herbicides, all the household cleaning products that you wash your dishes with, your laundry, your facial cleaning products, your toothpaste, your shampoo. Everything that touches your skin basically is a carcinogen, if you look at the label. So, not to mention everything. I don't need to go through all these things, but the question is not, as I always say, are you toxic? The question is, how toxic are you? And then on top of that, all the food that we're gonna, plunder. So our bodies are really gonna take a toxic beating over the holidays. This is the time now more than ever where people need to detox. And if you haven't done these detox packs where and I'm not talking to the people who are on the Nutrimos program. You don't want to do this if you're on the Nutrimos. You wait till after you're on the Nutrimos, because that's a different detox. This is a different detox program. So if you're not on Nutrimos, wherever you're at, you should be doing this at least quarterly. If you've never done this, this goes into the liver, the kidneys, it goes into every cell tissue in your body that's toxic, and it pulls them out. Pulls out heavy metals, pulls out mercury, pulls out mold, all types of toxins. So it's a good idea, and again, especially appropriate during the holidays. So that being said, everything that I've covered tonight, the most important thing is that, not that you learned, but that you apply what you learned. Right or right? Okay. So a lot of folks come here because they love learning, but I know there's a good bunch of you that love coming because you want to save money too. The night of the workshop's the only time that we ever discount our products, and most of the time the supplement suite is the only thing discounted at 20%. But because of the holidays, we figured, you know what, we're just going to do 20% off of everything tonight. So, you know, we can be in the holiday spirit, and then you guys may want to give yourself a little extra gift or get somebody else the gift of health. I don't know, but tonight it's off the chain, it's off the hook, it's 20% off everything. Have a party, knock yourself out, but the sale ends tonight. So if you want to stock up for now, stock up for the holidays, stock up for after the year. We never do this, probably won't ever do it again, and it's whatever quantities that we have here. So I know they're very limited, but I wanted to encourage you guys and incentivize you to do that. Okay, last thing, don't leave. I got 5 more minutes that I want to take you through. You're going to learn something new here. I don't care how many workshops that you've been to. The innate power of the brain controls which function of your body? All functions. If your spine is out of alignment, it interferes with the normal function of the central nervous system. So, this was really interesting. I found this on YouTube. It's a medical doctor talking about the upper cervical part of your neck and what happens here.
The normal anatomy of the upper cervical involves the C1 vertebrae called the atlas and the C2 vertebrae called the axis. When the person turns their head, these are supposed to stay in alignment. This can only occur if the capsular ligaments or the facet joints hold the vertebrae in place. When the vertebrae move together, the vertebral artery is fine, the circulation's good, and as well as all the nerves in the upper neck. When the capsular ligaments are injured, as illustrated here, you can see that C1 moves excessively when the head's rotated in relationship to C2. This causes a pinching of the vertebral artery, therefore cutting off blood supply to various parts of the brain.
Did you hear that? Okay, so the vertebral artery is what carries the blood to the brain. It runs through that one bone up top there. That top bone right there is only held together by ligaments. That's it. Ligaments in the front, up top, and down. It doesn't have a disc above or below. And it's the most freely movable bone in your spine and the most important one. So when you have a whiplash, or you sleep on your stomach, or you start cracking your neck, or you have any sort of injury, and you knock that bone out, what it does is it drives up under the skull and it impinges the brainstem. It kinks the vertebral artery. And when that happens, then you have all types of symptoms. It can cause dizziness. It can drive your blood pressure because the vertebral artery bringing the blood supply to your head. It can cause depression. It can affect your sleep. It can affect so many different functions of your body because it's your brainstem. Automatically, it overrides all neurological function in your body. And that's one little area in your spine that can cause so many different problems. That area also controls your immune system. It controls breathing. So that's one area where we know that if we make one adjustment there, it profoundly affects the health overall in your body. So for those of you guys who don't know, that the nerves branch off every part of your spine in between the bones, and they go to different parts of your body. So if the bones are out of alignment, pinching the nerves, you don't necessarily feel that. It only takes the weight of a dime to shut the nerve supply down through there by 50% in just 3 minutes. So you could be losing normal nerve supply, not feel anything, and meanwhile this is going to your spleen or your adrenal glands, and it can cause lowered resistance, and it can cause you to come down with colds and flus. So imagine you're overeating, you're under stress, and you got lots of sugar, but you're losing nerve supply to the vital organs that are also supposed to be responsible for supporting your immune system. What is that doing? Adding insult to injury. Let me ask you a question. What nutritional supplement, what diet, what fitness program can open up the nerve channel and take the pressure off the nerve? Nothing. It's a structural and a neurological problem which requires a structural correction. Only a chiropractic adjustment can fix that. And that's really important because eating good and exercising is really important, but there's no greater way to tap a person's healing potential than to remove interference from the nervous system. This was a study that was done in 1990 on people with AIDS. And they had a control group with people who had AIDS, and then they had another group of people who didn't have AIDS. And they gave real adjustments to some of them, and they gave sham adjustments to the other group. The group who got the real adjustments, the people with AIDS, their CD4, their white blood cell count, went up almost 50%. The white blood cell is the immune system. So I was in school, I was in my first quarter at Life University when I saw this study come out. I graduated in 1993. So I grabbed a copy of the study as soon as I graduated, and I went down and I volunteered my time in an AIDS shelter in Fort Lauderdale. And I took the study to them, and I said, I'd like to volunteer my time. I don't ask for any payment. The only thing I ask is that you give me the blood results so I could see it for myself. And what do you think it came back with? Every time, all I did was adjust the top bone in their neck. And that's all I did. They were seated, I'd go and I'd adjust the top bone in their neck. That controls the immune system. And a month later, 3 months later, I get their results back. Double, triple, their CD4 counts would double, triple, quadruple. Many of them got off their AIDS medication. Substantial, powerful. This was long before I got married and had kids. So I knew the power of the adjustment in keeping a family healthy. That's why my kids have never had a medication. I haven't had a medication on my body in almost 30 years. And like I said, I don't tell you to stop taking medication or there's not a time and place. I'm just telling you it's a powerful, proactive, preventative strategy for you and your family. There is nothing more powerful than a specific chiropractic adjustment. So when you get the cough, sniffle, sneeze, flu, and you want to boost your immune system, you don't stay home and do nothing. You do what? You get adjusted, yeah, because that turns on the healing power. That turns on life. This is from University of Chicago Medical Center. They did a study and they found that one chiropractic adjustment right here at that top level, right where the artery was, they did one adjustment there. They saw the average patient, their blood pressure dropped by about 17 points. They said it was the equivalent of a combination of 2 blood pressure medications. And it was a medical study. They did it in a medical university. It wasn't a chiropractic study. So, again, not enough people know about this. Now, if you're sitting here, if you're not under chiropractic care or you don't have a chiropractor and you've never had your nervous system checked, I'm going to give you an opportunity to do that. One of the easiest and most effective tools that we use is thermography. We just roll that up the surface of your spine, and it'll show us where there's disturbed or dysfunctional neurology, wherever there's red and orange. And you know what? Many times we'll do this and people don't feel any pain at all. And it'll show us exactly where the nerves are blocked and there may be problems. This is what a near normal spine should look like when there's all green. But basically, if you've got orange or red, that means nerves are shut down. That means disease is spreading on an organ level. Even if you don't feel any pain, when do you want to find out what's causing that? Before or after you get diagnosed with prostate cancer? Before or after you get diagnosed with colon cancer? Because cells that are disconnected and out of control from the nerve system don't make new healthy cells. They make cancerous cells. And interfering with your nervous system is kind of like the garbage in the garbage can. You're creating an environment in the body which is ripe for disease to develop. And again, so when you know that your nervous system is looking like this, that's great. That's preventative. Waiting for a mammogram or a prostate exam to diagnose the problem, that's already after the fact. We're talking about doing proactive things to prevent ever winding up there in the first place. Doesn't that make sense? That's called prevention, not a test. The test isn't prevention. This tells us the function of your neurology. So you do that if you have symptoms, fatigue, tiredness, trouble sleeping, chronic cold, sinus trouble, pain, numbness, tingling. If you have that, for goodness sake, look in there and find out where the cause is coming from. But even if you don't have any symptoms, it's kind of like getting a regular checkup. If you do that with a mammogram or a prostate exam, this is even more important because that's really what's going to determine the outcome of those tests. So for those of you who are not patients, we have a coupon to get you a discounted evaluation. It's only $40. You just ask them up front. They'll give you the coupon. It discounts that initial exam for you. And we're happy to check that for you. Raise your hand if you learned something important tonight. Anybody here? Good. Who you guys know that should know about what we talked about? Some people? A few people here and there?
Everybody.
Everybody, thank you very much. I don't know who said that, but I thank you. Okay. So listen, you don't always have to feel like you're obligated to bring people here, if they don't want to come. We speak in the community all the time, and it's a community service. We don't charge for it. We'll show up, we talk at your work, place of work, worship, wherever it is. People need to know what we're talking about. People need to know the truth. Another way that you could get that out there is by going online and doing a 5-star review. Now more than ever, people are reading reviews to determine whether or not they're going to the right place. Have you seen that? Raise your hand if you do that. I do that too. So if you go online and you do that, this thing called ratemds.com, and you post a 5-star review, we'll give you a gift certificate for 25% off any of the resources or products that we have. And again, you're being proactive. You're doing something helpful in the community. Here's another one. If you go to Google, you could do the same thing. Go to our webpage. Go to our website. It's what is it? Plantation.elevationhealth.com. If you go to our website, go to our landing page, and right in the upper right-hand corner, you could just post a review right there. Take a snapshot of it, bring it in, show us. We'll give you the coupon right there on the spot, the gift certificate. All right, so make sure you get credit for tonight's workshop. Remember, if you come to 6 or more workshops, you get up to 10% off your maintenance plan if you're under chiropractic care. Get on the Elevation Health course supplements. If you want to get a Nutrimost exam, 954thin.com. If you're a patient or not a patient, you want to have your nerve system checked, tell them up front. They'll get you an appointment. And make sure you don't forget about January 18th. That's going to be our next workshop. So thank you very much for coming tonight, guys. I love and appreciate you. God bless. Yeah, come on up. Come on up. If you have questions, I'll do a one-on-one.
Your questions? Oops, sorry, Nettie.
I understand everything. I agree with it. When sometimes we need to put symptoms,
That's your choice.
I don't know. How backwards, like, let's just say I got some supplements when I went to the redo, I got everything due. I just need 2 days. Thursday.